In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the switch lever in a Makita grinder. The on-off switch assembly on many Makita grinders is made up of three components: the switch button, the switch lever, and the switch itself. The switch lever transfers the motion of turning the switch button on back to the switch itself. Common problems with the switch lever will be that it breaks where the switch button attaches to it, or it'll break where the tension spring attaches. Replacing the switch lever is easy to do, and I'm going to show you how. Switch levers, as well as many other parts, can be found on our website. Let's get started. I'll begin by removing the side handle and the guard. The gearbox housing is held in place with 4 screws. I'll go ahead and remove those. Now I can remove the rear housing. It's held in place with a single screw. Now I'll move the brush springs to the side of the brush holder. This will remove the tension from the brushes so they're not pressing against the armature. I'll do this on both sides. With the tension removed from the brushes, now I can go ahead and remove the armature assembly. Now I'll remove the baffle plate. It's held in place with 2 screws. Now I'll remove the switch button. To do that, I hold it in the off position as I push forward on the switch lever. When you hear it click, you can now remove the switch button. Now I'll remove the field from the motor housing. The first thing I'll want to do is disconnect each of the wire connections. You'll want to take note of the location of each wire for reassembly. With the wires disconnected, now I can remove the field from the motor housing. The easiest way to do this is to tap the housing against a table until the field slides out. It's in there pretty firmly. Now I'll move to the edge of the housing against the table to remove the field the rest of the way. Now I can remove the switch lever. I'll use a pair of pliers to pull it away from the housing, and I pull it out and give it a little twist to remove it from the housing. Now I can install the new switch lever. Before I do though, I need to transfer this spring from the old lever to the new one. And now install the new lever into the housing. Now install the field back into the motor housing. As I do this, I need to thread the wires from the field back through the openings on the motor housing. I want the side of the field with the 2 red wires to line up with the side where the connections for those wires are on the switch. I also have the 2 black wires. One of the black wires hooks to the brush holder on the same side of the motor housing as the switch, and the other black wire on the opposite side. As I thread the wires through, I find it works best to use a long screwdriver to help align the wires with the openings as I install the field. With the wires aligned, now I'll go ahead and push the field the rest of the way into the housing. Now I'll reconnect each of the filled wires. The 2 red wires go to the connections on the switch, and I'll loop these wires around to take up the excess. And the black wires to the connections on the brush holders. And again, I'll just take up the excess, get it out of the way. Now I can reinstall the switch button. To do that, I push the switch lever all the way forward, and then align the hook on the back of the switch button with the opening in the switch lever. Now I'll push the switch lever up against the hook on the switch button, and then release the lever. Now replace the baffle plate. Now I can install the armature assembly back into the grinder. I'll reinstall the gear housing assembly to the motor assembly and secure it with the 4 screws. Now reposition the brush spring back over the brush. Now I'll slide the rear cover back over the motor housing and secure it with the screw. And I'll finish up by installing the guard and the side handle.